Namaskara. My name is Christopher Tompkins. I'm a lifelong practitioner of yoga and a scholar with advanced degrees in Sanskrit and religion from several major universities. And it's been my great good fortune to have presented the liberating, life-enhancing teachings of Kashmir Shaivism to over 10,000 people around the world in the last 10 years or so. And I come to you with this very noble and timely campaign to revive the lost ritual known as the Thousand Names of Goddess Sharada, the matron goddess of Kashmir Shaivism, that survives in a text which I rediscovered last year, which has been lost to the world for the past several centuries. And so the two major goals of this fundraiser is to edit, to transcribe, translate, and to publish, both in e-text form and in hard copy form, this beautiful ritual so it can come back to life once again. The second goal is to revive the actual ritual performance itself, which is scheduled for October 12th of this year on the lunar calendar. That is to say, at the climax of the fall celebration, the ceremony known as Navaratri, the 9 nights of the goddess. So who is Goddess Sharada? Sharada means autumn, and she's the personification of the liberating light of the waxing moon of autumn, celebrated again as the matron goddess, local goddess, personification of the very hearts of the Kashmiri people for more than well over 1,000 years. And it is this goddess today that is still worshipped by the Kashmiris who are in exile. The descendants of the Kashmiri Shaivas of old, including great masters such as Abhinavagupta, Kshemarāja, are known today as the Kashmir Pundits, or simply the Pundits, which means the learned ones. Now, the Thousand Names of Goddess Sharada, similar to the vast majority of surviving manuscripts which represent this tradition, remain still, or have remained still, in Kashmir, and have made it through the centuries solely due to the painstaking efforts of the Shaiva scholars, again known as the Pundits, the learned ones, who diligently copied these manuscripts hand by hand, generation by generation. But due to foreign invasion, continual persecution, the peaceful Pundits were forced into a final exile from their homeland in 1990 and had to leave most of these precious manuscripts behind. Today, thousands of Kashmir Shaiva texts precariously survive in the hands of people with no interest in this sacred tradition. And since then, many Westerners have been denied access to this literary legacy. And the story of the rediscovery of the Sharada Sahasranama, the 1,000 Names of Goddess Sharada, is tied into this legacy itself. Well, in 2012, I became determined to beat the odds. In March, I founded the Tantric Manuscript Acquisition Project known as TMAP in order to retrieve as many of these endangered manuscripts as possible from Kashmir and to make them freely available to the world. And through the generous support of our wonderful community, I was able to set off for Kashmir in April and returned in May with over 25,000 scan pages of unpublished Shaiva manuscripts, the most successful acquisition attempt ever made. The collection I retrieved consisted of yoga-based texts, great philosophical works by medieval sages such as Abhinavagupta, Kshemarāja, Sri Naga, and very rare devotional hymns or stotras containing time-honored rituals to 5 local Kashmir goddesses long revered by the Shaivas. And while in Kashmir, I set off to visit 4 of the 5 shrines now largely abandoned, where I ceremoniously reinstalled the mantras of these goddesses that are imbued with the very vibrational energy or Shakti of each of them. Months later, I discovered in the huge collection of acquired manuscript scans a 6-foot-long scroll, the one you see here, preserving the most sacred and core ritual of this matron goddess, the beautiful 1,000 Names of Sharada, the Sharada Sahasranama, which have been lost and forgotten centuries before the Kashmir Pundits even went into exile. This scroll that you see before you is the only known copy of this beautiful ritual known to exist today. Composed in antiquity by a devotee named Sahajaka, or the spontaneous one, the text is written in the script called Sharada, which is a script of the Sanskrit language used exclusively in Kashmir, named obviously after the goddess herself, thus imbuing the 1,000 names with their very presence and power. On May 27th of 2013, at a beautiful Sharada temple built in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, I revealed the scroll to a wonderful group of Kashmiri Pundit families, overjoyed with the rediscovery of their lost Sharada Sahasranama, and presented to them the visual depiction of the goddesses given in the scroll. This was such an honor of my life, for it marked the first time that the exiled Kashmiris have ever heard what the matron goddess of their sacred homeland looks like. After this incredible event in late May, we all decided together that this is the year to bring the Sharada Sahasranama ritual back to life for the first time in centuries on that prescribed lunar day for its performance, falling this year on October 12th. Thus by June I abandoned all my other work and began the tedious occupation of editing, transcribing, and translating the lengthy 1,000 names of Sharada to be done by early fall. So if Kashmir Shaivism, if the Tantric tradition has blessed your life in any way, this story is for you, and I reach out on behalf of the goddess Sharada, on behalf of the Kashmir Pundits now in exile, and indeed on behalf of all devotees of the tradition for your support. I need your help, for Sharada, the only goddess shrine I couldn't get to, has come to us. And with your help, the autumnal goddess of lunar awakened consciousness will rise again. Sharada personifies the heart of a great culture now in exile, the very ancestors of a tradition that have brought great authenticity and meaning to the Western yoga world. It gives me great joy to offer for your generosity some wonderful gifts, beginning with, of course, an ebook translation of this Sahasranama ritual to be performed on October 12th. This ebook will have both the original Sanskrit of the ritual and its English translation. And with that, of course, is a ticket to attend live via video stream, in person, or to download if you're too far away or out of the time zone, the live event, the first performance of the Sharada Sahasranama in centuries, to be hosted by Christopher Harish Wallace and myself. Our next gift will be a printed edition, a beautiful hardback of the entire Sharada Sahasranama scroll with a beautiful introduction and the phenomenal artwork of renowned illustrator Ekabumi. I'm thrilled, due to the generosity of my sister Shiva Ray, to offer you a 10-day prana flow teacher training with her at Exhale Yoga Center in Los Angeles. The topic is Chakra Vinyasa, Ayurveda, and Sequencing for Life. That's to be in November. Another gift generously offered by Dimitri Velisarius, his wonderful Prana Danda online course, which also has Shiva Ray as well. That's another gift. Our next gift is the debut of Ina Sahaja, Yogini Extraordinaire, her Roots and Impulse embodied Sanskrit course, available to you soon. Our next gift is a 6-foot-long framed entire version of the Sharada Sahasranama manuscript that is printed out on parchment paper, framed into 2 different segments. A beautiful gift. Our next gift is a wonderful online course by Kashmiri Pundit Rakesh Kaul called Creating Wealth Through the Sharada Path. And lastly, from my heart to yours, I'd like to offer you a couple of the names that have been translated by myself from this scroll of the goddess Sharada, she who personifies that tantric power of Saraswati, the flowing awakened consciousness that lies within all of us. So you can get a sense of what it means to revive this ritual on a personal as well as a cultural level. Om Hrim Klim Sharada Kanta Shrimati Shri Shubhankari. We bow to the goddess Sharada. She is the the liberator from bondage, the bearer of the chalice of nectar, the source of sweetness, sweetness itself, the bestower of boons, the highest reward, mischievousness, the honey drinker, the essence of springtime. She is a flower garland, the garland of passion, the deprivation of fear, the source of friendship, the giver of life. She personifies the beauty of life. She is the renewing power of life. She is the joy of life itself. She is the loving dance of existence. Namaskara. Om Shri Sharada Devyai Namaha.